An article was recently published in the LA Times titled, "California's Changing Demographics Will Further Doom Republicans." It starts out with, "Democrats dominate politics in California, and Republicans are doomed for one simple reason: shifting demographics." It goes on to state that California is the future. It tends to be more non-Caucasian than most states. But we're heading into that for the rest of the nation. And how are Republicans doing in California? They've got to figure out how to compete here, or it's the ice age. So, my question is, will conservatives like yourself acknowledge what Democrats already know? That is, that demographics is destiny, or is that truth a little too uncomfortable for you?
Oh, I can't believe you just referred to the LA Times as the truth. That's an amazing thing. No, I won't acknowledge a Democrat's truth because I think it's not backed up by historical reality. To give a few examples, 5 of the whitest states in the country. What are the 5 whitest states? You've got Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, West Virginia, and Montana. 3 out of those 5 states voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. Very, very white states. Of those 5 states, by the way, 4 of them voted for Democratic senators, leftist senators, in 2018. That doesn't seem very good for the whiteness argument. When you look at diverse states, not all diverse states, but some, such as Texas and Florida, they have voted reliably in recent years Republican and conservative. On to the point of demographics being destiny. Of course, the left is desirous of mass migration, because they think that if they flood the country without any sort of assimilation, if they discourage assimilation, then they're going to be able to dominate the electorate. That's part of their plan. But the idea that voting patterns are somehow hardwired into DNA is simply untrue, and I can prove it in a few different ways. For instance, right now black voters identify heavily with the Democratic Party, 85 to 90% at some points. This was not always the case. As recently as the mid-1940s, black voters were about evenly matched Democrat and Republican. And what caused that shift, some people say, was the New Deal, but the timeline doesn't even add up so much there. Actually, if you look at the exact date that things really started to tip, it was 1948 when President Truman desegregated, or rather integrated, the military. So you saw Democratic presidents taking up the mantle of civil rights, saying that they care about black people. And then, of course, President Kennedy and President Johnson get credit for the Civil Rights Act, which cemented, at least in recent memory, black support for Democrats. I'll give you another example. Hispanic voters are not monolithically or racially determined in their votes. How do I know that? Because, of course, of the Cubans, of all of the Hispanic voters, Cubans, even today, favor Republicans. They favor conservatives. Now, the trouble is, generationally, that starts to slip. So the Cuban immigrants favor conservatives. Even the children of Cuban immigrants favor conservatives. But then when you get to the grandchildren, that becomes a problem where they start to veer toward the left. Obviously, that's not a racial problem. They have the same race as their grandparents. Obviously, that's not an immigration problem. The immigrants are more conservative than their grandkids. What it would appear to me more likely is that it is a problem of education, particularly an educational apparatus that from K to 12 and all the way through college and all the way through your master's and your PhD, if you stick on for that, you are told that America is evil, conservatism is evil, and leftism is wonderful.
I'm just going to pause it now, but what Michael Knowles was saying is absolutely true. And what I really despise about the white liberal is this, and I don't like getting into race too much. I don't like doing this black and white thing, but white liberals always try to have this white savior complex as if they're doing good for people of color, as they call them, which I don't call them. And they're just the saviors of all of the people of color, such as black people, brown people, whatever you want to call it. And all I see it as is just virtue signaling. And a lot of times, and I've even encountered some, they just do it just to look good. And some of them are really racist in the closet. And then in public, they try to act like they're actually really not racist when they really are.
It's eminently clear to me that race is a minor factor here, and that ideas are the issue. So if we want to win moving forward, I think we need to stop these ridiculous and bigoted ideas that race somehow determines what you think about politics, and move on to a more human understanding and frankly, a more reasonable and civilized understanding of politics. You can follow up, sure.
Just last year in the 2018 midterm, whites were the only group to vote predominantly Republican. African Americans voted 90% Democrat, Hispanics 69%, and
I think
Asians
I just said
77%.
That, didn't I?
Yes, but what does it matter if they were more Republican in the past than today?
because it shows that it's not racially determined, which would appear to be your contention when you say demographics are destiny. So if they're not racially determined, then something else is at work here, which is exactly my point, and it would seem to be not your point.
So,
Sure.
if I may ask, when then will they begin to vote for Republicans again?
Well, I got to tell you, guys who push an exclusively racial politics aren't really helping the situation very much, in my opinion. And if my thesis is correct, that the perception of one political party embracing black voters and another political party shunning them was a major motivator of the black support for the left, and that would seem to be borne out by historical reality, then what I would recommend is we not speak with racially exclusive language and with political ideologies that really don't seem to bear much with regard to reality and the reality of how we think about politics and the human person. Good question.
And as I said, this is what they always do, and it's absolutely sad. And one of the things Michael Knowles said was actually true. In school, college, university, wherever you want to call it, all they're doing is indoctrinating the students and the kids who go into it. And then also on top of that, now they're even putting ahead repercussions for people who disagree with that. So people are now being intimidated in the workplace because they can't speak up if they do have conservative values. So people are even starting to either hide what they believe in, or they just don't want to even say what they believe in, and they just change to the other side due to what's happening in society. Society shames people for having conservative values, and the media also helps that narrative. So yeah, it would obviously be the case that because of that as well, people are going to start voting more liberal. Then you have people who are just not willing to do the work, and whatever social media is telling them, they follow it because most people are sheep, unfortunately. But anyway, that was another video, another reaction. As I usually say, if you guys enjoyed the video, like the video as much as possible, comment down below. Let's get a discussion going down below. I'll reply to as many comments as possible. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you guys for 20,000 followers. I'm at 21,000, I think, right now. Possibly by the time this video comes out, I might be at 22,000 or more. I don't mind if it's more than that. I'm not complaining, but if it is, it is. And I thank you guys for all the support, all the kind words that people have been putting down in the comment section. I'm trying to reply to as many of them as possible. It's really hard because comments come in like every few minutes, so it's hard to keep up everything. But I really do appreciate everyone who's been commenting, supporting the channel, kind words. As I said, I posted on my community page that we're going to be doing a live stream this week. It's looking like it's going to be Friday, but I'll post that in the community section again for everyone to see what day it'll be, and then I'll schedule when the live stream will be as well. But once again, I thank you guys very much for the support and all the love everyone has shown me. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at YinkaThatGuy, and I am out.